G'day, how you going? How are you? Uh, yeah, so I left New Zealand. Yeah, I'm in Holland now, Amsterdam. All right, here we go. Take two. Because the camera died as soon as I said B2B tech startup. I don't think it will this time. I suspect it might have been the heat, but divine comedy nonetheless. Um, yeah, okay. I was mentioning that I had a job. I got a job. So yeah, left New Zealand 6, 7 weeks ago. Came to Europe, got a job, remote US B2B tech startup. It was a founding designer role, which I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed that role. Yeah, I think I was able to do a really good job in that role. However, yeah, I resigned on Friday, 2 days ago. It wasn't meant to be. I'm not going to go into it, just out of respect for myself and the other party involved, the company. But yeah, I'll just say that I left, I think I felt good about the constructive feedback I was able to give to that company. They received it really well. And yeah, I think I'm really excited to see where they take things. They got a really cool product. Got some great folks on the team. I think they're going to go really far. But yeah, unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be. And resigning made the most sense for me for where things were at that point in time. So there it is. But it's all positive. We try and keep it positive and moving upwards, etc. So yeah, that was a bit of a whirlwind. Kind of rejoining the full-time employment workforce. Yeah, despite obviously not being ideal to resign after a month, it was a really great experience. I went into it with a fair, I think, healthy amount of imposter syndrome, as you do when you try new things, and that's okay. But I actually really surprised myself with the level of output I was able to achieve, like the impact I was able to have, the agency I was able to deliver or enact on. Yeah, I don't want to gas myself up too much, but I think, yeah, to come from a bit of imposter syndrome around, like, I guess mentally it was, I've been working on my own stuff for so long, or like working in really scrappy situations. Am I going to be able to kind of deliver here for a company of, I don't know, 15 or 20 or something like that? And yeah, really pleasantly surprised myself. So that was cool. On the whole, I'm very glad that I went through that experience, despite a few things not going as well as hoped. Anyway, yeah, that's all I'll say about that. It does mean that I'm back on the hunt. That had provided some degree of financial security, which I was very grateful for, because it turns out when you decide you're going to leave the place you live in and head overseas, it can be tricky. It's coming out of a long-term relationship as well, and yeah. So I guess that's a nice segue into like the personal side of stuff, if anyone's interested, because I think there might be some interesting stuff in here if you're thinking about doing the same thing, about traveling overseas, or even if you're at home, but going through some similar stuff. Yeah, I guess a lot of stuff bubbled up. There's been a lot of feelings of isolation and loneliness, and wondering if I've made a completely insane, bad decision. But that's kind of what I'm here for. And so going in with the intention of knowing it was going to be tough, but knowing that that's what I was seeking, to find some discomfort and to, face up to some things inside of me that I felt were a little bit blocked, and like the comfort of where I'd lived for the last decade, and all the friends and social groups and the streets that I knew and all the familiarity. Yeah, it's made it bearable, because when these really difficult situations bubble up, I'm able to just sit with it and reflect on it, process it, journal through it, and despite it being really heavy, it keeps ending the same way. And sometimes it'll be an hour of feeling really bad, sometimes it'll be a day, but I do have that breakthrough at some point where it's just like, wait a second, that's what I'm here for. This was never going to be rainbows and sunshine. despite the lovely weather right now. It was going to be tough, and it has been tough, and it is tough, and I'm sure it's still going to be tough in the future. But there's something to be said for, I don't want to get too Tony Robbins, but something to be said, I think, for seeking out these situations that you're going to grow from, and then getting through them because you know that that pain is what you're there for, and is what you're learning from. So but the good stuff, I guess that's kind of double pessimistic series of events there. Job situation, a bit tricky. Mental health, certainly very tricky. But surviving, learning, growing, and the good things. I've had some incredible experiences. I've met some wonderful people. I've, I don't know, just had to quickly adapt to not knowing anyone and desperately seeking to have some social interactions. And I've always been pretty extroverted and I think confident to talk to people. But it goes a step further when you're, I think, in a country where you don't really speak the language, albeit Dutch people speak better English, certainly than myself and probably most English-speaking people. But you're behind enemy lines, so to speak, and you've got to make do, and you're much more grateful. That's probably it. You're much more grateful for the social connections that you do make. There's so much loneliness. I've experienced so much loneliness almost immediately because I'm so extroverted. And so, just then ending up so grateful for even little social interactions with random people. I've also been able to meet some wonderful folks from the tech Twitter startup indie hacker community. That's been really wonderful, and from my stream as well. That's been really cool, really special. And that actually got me thinking as well. I might want to make a little site to make that a little bit easier, which actually brings me, it's a nice segue onto the next funny thing that's going on. This is very cringy. The irony is not lost on me, but I've decided that I'm going to go to Burning Man next month. The Burning Man in Nevada, the big one. White tech bro is going to Burning Man to try and find himself. There it is. It's a never seen before headline. But I don't know. It should be interesting, It should be a laugh. Gonna get to spend some time in San Francisco and meet some wonderful folks who I've only known through Twitter and Twitch and whatnot, and just see what happens. But another recurring theme is just I don't really have a plan. That was the plan. I think I've come to realize. I was talking to someone about this the other day. I said, what is your plan? I said, I don't know. I don't really have a plan. And they said, well, sounds like your plan is to have no plan, which I think is, it's correct. I am going to have to return to New Zealand briefly at some point because I fucked up my citizenship situation. But that sounds more dramatic than it is. But I'm just going to have to return for a couple of weeks. That's fun. But on the whole, very high highs, very low lows. But I'm very glad that I've set out. I think I'm right where I need to be. A lot of tough stuff bubbling up, but that's what I'm here for. There it is. I've managed to get one stream in, I think. But unfortunately, it didn't go very well because I didn't have the right equipment. I needed an Ethernet cable and a dummy battery for the camera, etc. But that's all arrived now. So hopefully this week, I'm going to do at least one short stream every day. It should be fun. All right, I've got a new challenge to solve, which is going to be figuring out how to help this camera from overheating. But there it is. That was the yarn. Thanks for tuning in. This is Amsterdam. You can see it off in the distance there. I'm currently in East. This very cute little rooftop of the apartment I've been subleasing. This is where I have my breakfasts and my lunches and my dinners. Think about life and eat some tasty food. This is actually where the VLC, the Dutch East India Company, used to build their ships. Very interesting. Anyway, there it is. That's all I got. Thanks for tuning in. Take it easy. Catch you next time.